Ever get that feeling like, you could just step right into a story? And I don't mean just reading it, but like actually being a part of it as it's being written.
Yeah, like you can feel the world coming to life around you.
Exactly. And what if I told you that story was being written by like the whole bunch of different people all at the same time? That's what we're diving into today.
Collaborative Hypernarrative Fiction. It's a mouthful, I know, but trust me, it's way cooler than it sounds.
Think choose your own adventure, but on a whole other level online with tons of authors, all adding their own little piece to the puzzle.
And we're not talking about some modern day thing either. This is the late 90s, the wild west of the internet. We're talking dial-up modems, those clunky computers that took up half your desk.
We're going back in time, folks, unearthing this digital time capsule.
A single file called itemate.txt, raw, unedited, just pure imagination flowing from one mind to the next.
And these minds, let me tell you, they did not hold back.
Oh no, not at all. We've got everything in here, vivid descriptions of Seattle that make it feel like a character itself.
Right, like you can practically smell the rain and coffee in the air.
We've got these incredibly personal reflections on love, loss, the kind of stuff that stays with you long after you finish reading.
And this is key. All of this was happening when the internet was still this new frontier for storytelling.
People were figuring out how to connect and create together in ways that hadn't really been explored before.
It's like we're getting to peek behind the curtain of this whole new form of digital community.
And it's fascinating.
So who are these intrepid explorers, these digital pioneers? Well, we're going to hear from Chris Abraham, who has this way of painting these really evocative pictures with his words.
He brings places like Seattle and Washington State to life. You'll see what I mean?
Absolutely. And then there's Hope O'Keefe, who's got this incredibly powerful way of writing about family, memory, and the places that shape who we are.
And those are just two of the voices we'll be hearing. Ginny Little, Dirk Flinthart, Red, each one of them bringing something unique to this collaborative tapestry.
Now, over the next little while, we'll unravel these entries, some just a few lines long, others sprawling across pages. We'll see how they connect, sometimes weeks or even months apart, how these recurring themes start to emerge.
Themes of place and identity, love and loss, even this yearning for escape that feels, well, surprisingly relevant even today.
Right. It makes you think some things never really change, do they?
It's the beauty of human experience.
Yeah.
And it's all right here, preserved in this digital time capsule, just waiting to be discovered.
It's funny, isn't it? We're talking about all these digital spaces, this whole online world they were creating. But you're right, that sense of physical place, it just keeps coming back.
It's like their anchor.
Totally. And nobody brings those places to life quite like Chris Abraham.
Oh, absolutely not. The way he describes Seattle, it's like he's giving the city a personality.
It's more than just description, right? It's like Seattle's this living, breathing character in his writing.
Exactly. Like when he writes about Seattle being, and I quote, obsessed with her reflection, always trying to appear perfect. It just makes you think, doesn't it?
About how people were feeling back then. This pressure to present this perfect image online.
Right. Even in those early days of the internet, it was already starting.
And it all ties back to this idea that we've been talking about, how the places we inhabit, whether they're physical or digital, they really do shape who we are.
Oh, 100%. We all have those places, right? The ones that hold a certain memory or emotion, they become part of our story.
Oh, completely. That little coffee shop downtown where you wrote your first short story, or I don't know, that park bench where you had your first kiss.
See, that's like those places, they hold a piece of us.
They really do. And you know who else captures that feeling perfectly? Hope O'Keefe. Those entries she wrote about scattering her mother's ashes.
Oh, so powerful.
Talk about places becoming intertwined with memory and identity.
She's literally carrying pieces of her family history to these different locations. It's like she's weaving them into the landscape.
And it's not just physical places either, right? Think about Ginny Little and those descriptions of dance.
Oh, yeah. Like she's trying to escape gravity to find freedom and movement.
It's almost like she's searching for that same feeling you get when you lose yourself in a good book, that sense of escape.
Absolutely. And, you know, speaking of escape, we can't forget about that other big theme that runs through all of this, love and loss.
Right, because those things, they're always there, aren't they? No matter what year it is, no matter what's going on in the world, love, loss, the desire for connection, it's all part of being human.
And what I find fascinating is how each author tackles those themes in their own unique way. Like Chris Abraham, there's this almost dreamlike quality to how he writes about love and loss.
Yeah, and sometimes a little, I don't know, unsettling. Remember that line where he compares a past lover's skin to Red with blood, the blush of
Oh,
lovers.
yeah, intense.
And then you have Red, who's dealing with all the raw emotions of first love, heartbreak, trying to figure out who she is.
Classic coming-of-age stuff.
Exactly. It's something we can all relate to, that feeling of trying to find your place in the world.
Oh, for sure. And it's all laid bare in these entries. No filters, just pure emotion.
It's funny how even though this was all happening back in the late 90s, so much of it still feels relevant today.
Oh, totally. Like we were saying earlier, those big themes of love, loss, connection, those are timeless.
Right?
Mm,
Completely. And those desires, those longings, they're like hardwired into us, I think.
no doubt. And is what makes this project so fascinating to me. Item 8.txt. It captures all of that with this incredible rawness. You really feel like you're getting this unfiltered glimpse into these people's lives.
It's like we're looking over their shoulders while they're typing.
Hmm.
And speaking of glimpses, there are all those recurring symbols and images that pop up throughout the text. It's like they're trying to tell us something.
Oh, for sure. Like little clues scattered throughout the story. And the biggest one, the one that keeps coming back again and again, is that color red.
Oh, right. Like Chris Abraham, that line about a lover's skin being red with blood, the blush of lovers.
Exactly. And then you've got Hope and her red roses, even Red's username. It's everywhere.
It's like this visual echo connecting all these different voices, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder what that color meant to them. Was it intentional or did it just emerge organically from the writing? It's a mystery.
A delicious mystery. And speaking of mysteries, we have to talk about that unsigned journal entry, the one that mentions longing for a sense of belonging. I don't know about you, but that one really stuck with me.
Oh, me too. It's so short, just a few lines, but
Mm.
so powerful.
I know. And the fact that we have no idea who wrote it, it just adds this whole other layer to the whole thing.
For sure. It reminds us that even in those early days of the internet, people were searching for that same sense of connection. It's like this universal human need.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder about all the other voices out there, right? All those stories that haven't been told, all those connections waiting to be made.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. It's like this whole universe of possibilities opened up when we started connecting online.
It really did. Well, as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of item 8.txt, I think we can all agree that even though this project was created decades ago, it still has so much to teach us about ourselves, about storytelling, and about the power of human connection in a digital age.
100%. These are the pioneers, the ones who paved the way for how we connect and create online today.
It makes you wonder what stories we'll be telling decades from now, what new forms of digital storytelling will emerge. But one thing's for sure, as long as there are people, there will be stories.
And thank goodness for that.